Hello and welcome to Sean White's Solar and Energy Storage Podcast.
Today on the podcast, we have David Taylor, and David is the solutions expert at Anker Innovations. And Anker, to me, has a lot to do with batteries. I'm not sure if this is an Anker battery right in my hand that I'm, charging my phone with, but I know I've had plenty of Anker batteries. And I think you have batteries now that could charge your phone a lot more than these little batteries that I have just sitting on my table. In fact, I was on the internet looking up something else and I ran across it and somehow I found you. And thanks for being on the podcast, David Taylor.
Of course, thanks for having me. It's always fun to kind of jump on these and start talking to people and broaden everyone's horizons.
Yeah, and so maybe just kind of tell us what's going on at Anker. And I'm kind of interested too, since this is a regular solar and storage podcast, and a lot of our listeners are solar installers, people putting solar on their houses, and people working in the solar industry. And what's the big battery thing you have going on?
Yeah, so the big battery thing is our new Anker Solix E10. So to give you the quick rundown, like you said at the beginning, most people know us for our phone chargers or smaller batteries, but we've been in this game for about 14 years. We've been getting the batteries bigger and bigger as it goes on. So we've entered the home energy storage a couple years ago, and this is our new product line. So it is a modular battery system. It is designed for a whole home backup, but since it's modular, you can customize it. Love to see it. Yet.
I've just noticed I have like a USB hub that says Anker on it. So I know I've got the name Anker all over the place.
Yeah, it's always fun when we have the big batteries on display at like a trade show or something. And someone walks by, does a double take, and they pull a phone charger out of their pocket or a little battery bank out of their pocket. Like, oh, you're the phone charger people. I'm like, yes, that's us.
Well, it's kind of cool that you're getting big time. So how big is the E10? Like, how much energy does it hold?
So it's customizable to whatever the customer needs. The battery modules themselves come in 6 kilowatt hour increments, but you can scale that all the way up to 90.
Wow, 90 kilowatt hour phone charger. Pretty cool, huh? No, that's a lot, 90 kilowatt hours. And so these kind of batteries, are you seeing people installing them themselves, or are you seeing solar installers install these batteries, or what kind of market are you looking for?
Both. So it's designed for on-grid, it's designed for off-grid, it's designed for DIY, it's designed for professional installer. That being said, yeah, your average suburban homeowner, they're not going to be comfortable or have the knowledge to, work around their main panel, move breakers, things like that. Even though it's not necessarily a complicated or hard thing to do, it's just going to be something that most people are going to feel more comfortable leaving a professional to do that. And that's something that we can help with as well. Connect them to a certified electrician that we are partnered with. But yeah, it's a system designed for a whole home backup. It's automatic switchover. In the case of an outage, they can use this not only for backup, but also lower their electric bills. So we tried to make something that's really flexible, kind of design a system customized directly for what the homeowner needs, because what some homeowner needs in one part of the country might be different than what someone needs in another part of the country.
So that's pretty cool. And yeah, there's probably a lot of listeners that are the types that would be professionally installing these things, either somebody with the electrical license or working at a company with somebody else holding the electrical license. And I guess you have all of the certifications like UL 9540, UL 9540A, and all that kind of stuff where people can install these things. And maybe do they have like little knockouts for conduit to go to them and all that kind of stuff? Or the cables that come out of them that you hook up to?
Right. So the batteries, they literally connect into themselves. There's no wiring necessary. The cable that runs from the top of the battery stack to the box that connects to the house, that's a pre-made cable. So all the wiring that someone has to do is just within the panel itself.
Cool. And then do you make the inverters, or do you work with other people's inverters, or both?
So we have our own inverter. So on top of the battery stack is what we call our power module. It's a hybrid inverter. So if you want to connect this to a DC solar system, you can connect it to a DC solar system. If you want to connect it to a grid-tied AC solar system, you can do that as well.
Okay, cool. So they're different modules, and the inverter would be just like a separate module, and the battery modules, and they all just kind of plug into each other. And you can plug PV into the inverter. I guess you could take like a string of PV and plug it right into the inverter. That's pretty cool.
Correct.
You guys just snuck up on me.
Yeah, I like to call this the Swiss Army knife of backup. It's going to play well with pretty much any system that's out there. I mean, it can do a lot of things that a lot of other folks out aren't able to do. One of the big things that we wanted to make sure that we played well with was generator, because that's a product that a lot of people already have ties to. They don't want to get rid of one product just to replace it with a similar product. So we play well with generators that are out there. We actually have a generator of our own that we've designed that is, you can pair this as an accessory with this system.
Wow. So Anker has an Anker generator. And it's probably all USB-C, just like my dongle.
It's not that simple, unfortunately, but yeah, it's a DC generator, so meaning it's an inverter generator. So it's a little bit quieter than your traditional portable generator, but it plugs directly into the battery stack itself. And that way, if you have an extended outage, or maybe you can't rely on solar because it's nighttime or inclement weather, things like that, this is that extra layer of safety, extra layer of redundancy to make sure that you can keep your house powered, keep those batteries charged, and get you through whatever extended outage that you're facing.
Wow. And then I guess you're going to have all of the power control systems or energy management systems, so you can hook it up to a house so you don't export when you don't get any credit for exporting if somebody doesn't have net metering at their house.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah, the battery system itself is not able to actually export to the grid. That's just a safety requirement. But if they already have a grid-tied solar system, that's still going to operate the way it did before. That they're not going to lose out on anything like that. But everything ties into what we call our power dock. This is our version of the controller or gateway. You might see other brands call it different things. It's just what everything plugs into and what it connects to the house. And the cool thing about that is it's also a smart panel. So if the any breaker that the homeowner lands in there is actually going to be able to control via their phone. So I always advise people, hey, put your power hungry loads on there, like your central AC unit, because if the grid goes down and you're not at home, the sun's not shining because the solar's not going to be working, you can actually deactivate that AC while you're gone. That way your batteries aren't draining until you get back.
Cool. And I guess probably that hub or whatever you call it would have the function of a microgrid interconnect device.
Correct.
So you could isolate from the grid and all that. Can the solar part of it, can that backfeed the grid? Like the solar input to the inverter?
If they have like a DC solar system, that's going to plug directly into the battery stack itself. So that will not be backfeeding into the grid. That's going to be strictly for charging the batteries. But if they already have like a rooftop existing grid-tied solar
like
system,
AC coupling.
Right, that's going to still send back to the grid. They're not going to lose out on any features like that.
And you could charge the battery with that PV system. Yeah, okay.
Correct, yeah. It just lands on a breaker in the power dock.
Cool. So if somebody wants to do AC coupling, they can take advantage of net metering if they're in some place that you get credit for exporting to the grid. And you could always just plug it into the DC side, and then you would just use the power from the PV system and the battery and not be feeding the grid with that side. So cool.
Correct. Yeah. If they have any existing equipment, this is not going to limit anything. This is just going to help them get the most out of what they already have.
Great. And so I'm assuming that it's a lithium iron phosphate type of lithium ion battery.
Correct.
And how about the voltage of the lithium iron phosphate battery cells?
So the voltage of the batteries themselves is 400 volt.
Oh, cool. So inside that battery, I bet there's some sort of electronics, like a DC to DC converter that's bringing it up to that 400 volts.
Correct. Yeah. And like I said, the batteries just plug directly into themselves, so you don't have to worry about wiring them together, which is really great for homeowners that ever want to expand onto their system.
Yeah, maybe you get like the professional electrician to do all the permits, and then a year later you're like, let's pop another one on. Probably are supposed to get a permit for that. Supposed to doesn't mean people always do. Because people are just so used to Anker just being something you just do it yourself, charge your phone, plug in your computer, and all that kind of stuff. So as far as the do-it-yourself stuff, and I would imagine you guys might be sitting pretty for some of this new plug-in solar or balcony solar that everybody's talking about. Are you getting into that?
Yeah, so we're actually already into that.
Mm-hmm.
We have a big presence with this type of product over in the European market. And we've been kind of watching the US market closely. And now that a lot of states are getting on board with that type of product, we've started talking internally about possibly bringing that product over here. So nothing officially that I can say is near or about to release. But yeah, definitely keep an eye on our website. We're expecting to have some exciting news about that in the future.
Okay, you probably know some secret that you're not telling me. So you're doing it in the European market, and balcony solar became popular in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be on a balcony, it's just plug-in solar. So it's, you get a homeowner and they could go buy something and they could do it themselves. And some people still have an electrician do it.
Right, yeah. It's about as DIY of a solar system as you can get. But again, for the people that need it, it's always wise to have an electrician to come out. Better safe than sorry type thing.
Yes, it should be pretty safe if they follow all the rules and read the instructions. Homeowners don't always do all that. How can we make them? Yeah.
Professionals don't either, so.
Yeah, just men in general, huh?
Mm-hmm. I'm guilty of it too. I can't judge. The good thing about it, though, is if you go on our website, we have the traditional real thick manual that's available on there with all the fun details and whatnot. But the really good thing that Anker's really been good about over the years with all their products is when you open up the box that comes with it, for any product that needs to be installed or connected to something, there's a big cardboard cutout that has what we call our quick start guide. And it's got pictures and step-by-step details of all the necessary steps and safety things that you have to look out for. A one-page thing, it's going to make it really easy for anyone that's out there. You're not going to have to sit there and watch 20 YouTube videos and read a 500-page manual to figure this thing out.
We interrupt you for a very important announcement. Sean White's Solar and Energy Storage Podcast has been brought to you by Sean White's Solar and Energy Storage Podcast. That's right, Sean White is sponsoring his own podcast, and he wants to remind you to go check out some of his classes. You can go to SolarSEAN, that's Solar, SEAN.com, and then click on the links to check out his classes. You can check out his heat spring classes, and you can also hire him to teach classes for you, like at your company, something like that. Now back to the show.
And so Anker, to me, seems kind of new in this market. How long have you been doing this? How long have people been installing big batteries on houses?
For Anker, we've been in this market for about 3 to 4 years.
Uh-huh.
This is not our first rodeo when it comes to this type of battery. So this is our brand new one, but it's not the only line that we have. We do have a couple other past products that have been designed for home and partial home and everything in between.
Uh-huh. And Anker is pretty global, I guess, right?
Yes. We're a global company.
And where are you selling the batteries?
So our new battery line, the Anker Solix E10, is you can buy this directly on our website. We are a few other partners like Amazon, Home Depot, Lowe's, Costco, as well as a few other partnered electricians and installers that we're working with. But the good thing for homeowners about being able to buy directly from manufacturer is it cuts out a lot of the middlemen, and our price is directly listed online. So the way I always kind of jokingly say and refer to it is you're getting whole home backup, but you're not having to pay whole home prices.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. And what kind of prices are you seeing, or do you want to talk about that, like price per kilowatt hour?
Yeah. So like I said, the easiest way to get an exact price, I don't want to say an exact number because I might get, quoted out of context, or there might be like a sale or something going on. But easiest way is just go on our website, ankersolix.com. We have a couple pre-made packages and templates for you to look at and kind of shop around on. But it's very, very simple to find something that can give you all-in backup, power everything in your house, including your big AC unit, give you automatic switchover. You're going to get that smart panel that I talked about and that generator that I talked about, and still come in under $10,000, which just to get a whole home battery system under that price is pretty hard, if not impossible to do. To be able to get an extra accessory like the generator added in onto it, you can't beat it.
Mm-hmm. And I know that there's some battery companies where they have something that's kind of in between, like the home battery and the charger for your phone. And a lot of them are lead acid. But do you have those also? So it would be like something more in the 1 kilowatt hour range, and somebody can plug a PV module into it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so we call those our portable power stations. We have a couple different lines.
Mm-hmm.
The big flagship one that we have that can actually connect to your house, kind of like the product we just talked about, we call that our Anker F3800 and our Anker F3800 Plus. It's a 3.8 kilowatt hour storage portable power station. You can plug things directly into it. You can stack expansion batteries onto it. And then we have one as small as our C100, which is it's basically the size of a lantern. Mm-hmm. And you can use that to charge a laptop, phones, things like that. And we have a ton in everything in between.
Okay, great.
Yeah, anything that you need and be able to charge with on the go, we've got you covered.
All right. Okay. And you said 3.8 kilowatt hours for a portable power station. Mm-hmm. It's kind of big compared to what a lot of people are using. Like 1 kilowatt hour seems like kind of the size that I see people that go camping use and stuff like that.
It is pretty big. It has a collapsible handle and wheels though, mm-hmm. so you can wheel it around. I like to do it because a lot of times I'll run install support for a lot of our partners. And when they're doing these big whole home installs, they have to cut power a lot. So I'll just throw one in the back of my truck, drive it to the site. We can wheel it into the homeowner's house, and then they can keep their TV, their fridge, anything their kids need to keep them entertained. So they're not suffering while the power's out and things like that. They can keep working. It makes the experience a whole lot less painful.
I have a weird idea. I have a 2011 Nissan Leaf. Mm-hmm. And so it's an old EV that my daughter's driving around. And it has about a 30-mile range just because they didn't have a proper cooling system, and it's kind of old. So the battery wore out a lot faster than a modern battery would wear out. Could we take one of these portable power stations, throw it in the car, and I guess we could charge the car with it, but could you ever charge the car with it while you're driving? Have you seen anybody do that?
I have not seen anyone do that because that would require, probably keeping the trunk open and having the cord run out down the side of the car while you're flying down the highway. Don't know if I could advise doing that. But yeah, you definitely can use the portable power stations to charge your EV. We do have an accessory for that. One slight caution I like to tell people just to make sure they understand what they're getting into. A portable power station battery is going to be a lot smaller in capacity to your EV. So don't expect a full charge.
Oh, for sure.
If you're ever in like a evacuation, like a hurricane's coming, you got to get out of the area, and you don't want to be stranded on the highway. It could be the very difference between getting off the highway and into a charging station.
Yeah, I know. She likes to ride it on zero. But it just something like she's going to high school and she could go plug it in, while she's in class and then get a little bit extra or something like that. Might be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that all kinds of neat applications out there. They should make electric cars that do have something like an extender, and maybe they will someday, where you just put it in the trunk and plug it in and it works while you're driving. Maybe that'll be a future thing.
That would be nice. You basically have the infinite gas tank.
Yeah, and I guess it would really be the EV manufacturer that would have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So they say that an EV is just a battery on wheels. You going to make any EVs?
If we are, they've kept that secret pretty well hidden from me. That would be pretty cool, though.
Yeah. I remember, what was it? Dyson tried to jump into the EV industry. They were making electric vacuum cleaners. So those things, vacuum cleaners suck. Whoops. So what other things do you have going on? How do you come up with a generator when you're like a battery USB-A dongle company, and then years later you're making generators?
Yeah, so like I said, this is not our first trip into the home backup market. And in our past experiences, you know, everyone always asks us, who's going to be your biggest competitor? And they always expect us to say, you know, the typical big brands when it comes to batteries and home backup. But honestly, number one answer was the big standby generator companies. They've been in the market for a lot longer. People are more familiar with them, and it's a proven product. You know, I'm not going to bash them. They're great. I have family and loved ones that have them. So I've been in houses that use them. They're great. I love them. So we kind of figured we weren't going to take the throne from them because no one else had either. So why bother competing with them and trying to steal market from one another? Why are we making these competing products, and why aren't these cooperating products? Because, you know, I'm biased towards batteries. I think batteries are great. They're not the perfect solution. And the same can be said for generator, whether it be standby or portable. So why are we kind of making these two fine products in their own right bash their heads against each other when we can use the strengths of each to cancel out each other's weaknesses? So we're using the batteries to condition the energy, fuel, and the energy output. So you're using less fuel, whether it be gasoline or propane that you would be using with the generator. And you're using that to extend the life of the batteries themselves. So you're not having to run the generator at night 24/7 and try to sleep while you having sounds like a bunch of lawnmowers going off in your backyard right outside your bedroom window.
Yeah. So the generator, is it Anker branded that you're using? Okay.
Yes.
And so, yeah, it's kind of interesting. So you get like a generator company like Generac getting into the battery business, solar business. Then you have a battery company getting into the generator business. So just, you know, like taking it from different sides too.
Yeah, people are starting to figure it out. We kind of both bring our own strengths to the table. And like I said, just use each of our strengths to cancel out each other's weaknesses. And it gives the ultimate experience to the homeowner because they just have layer after layer of redundancy to keep the lights on and get them through whatever outage they're facing.
Yeah, and usually you would see the solar installer going to like a renewable energy store and buying the battery there, and you're going more retail, I guess, like you said, Lowe's and stuff like that.
Yep, and direct to consumer straight from the horse's mouth. So you can get it right off our website, ankersolix.com.
Yep.
This podcast was brought to you by Rhubarb Pie. Mama's little baby loves rhubarb, rhubarb. Mama's little baby loves rhubarb pie.
Mama's little baby loves rhubarb, 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 a rhubarb pie, a rhubarb, a rhubarb, a rhubarb pie.
And so Anker's been in the battery business for how long? Like for doing lithium-ion batteries?
As a company, been around for about 14, coming up on 15 years. And just to give you the brief rundown, started off in the mobile charging industry, grew quickly to become the world's #1 charging brand, have exclusive partnerships with a lot of the big companies like Apple. So you don't get that big just kind of putting out repackaged, white labeled inferior products. We're really proud of what we've done. And we've been able to use that to expand into other markets, other industries. Like we talked about the portable power stations, whole home backup. We've got the balcony solar overseas, the EV chargers overseas markets. So we keep expanding, we keep diversifying, and we try to be kind of one of the leaders in the industry and make it at an affordable price point for all of our homeowners that have kind of followed us along through this journey.
Pretty cool. All right. Well, I'm going to go get myself maybe a megawatt hour. I'm going to go on your website right now and see how many batteries I can get. Or I'll just go to Lowe's and load up the truck because I guess they're already there.
Yeah, get one of those big flat metal dolly carts that they have out in the garden section. Just load it up with batteries.
Okay. I'll go get myself at least 90 kilowatt hours. So that's pretty cool. And then I was kind of surprised too. It just seems to me Anker's been around forever, but I guess you said it's like 14 years, something like that.
Correct.
We're doing all the USB things and all that. So that's pretty cool. Thanks a lot. And is there any other things you'd like to tell everybody?
Yeah. So I think the main point that we hit about today was about backup, but Just one other quick tidbit about the battery system itself is you can actually use this to help offset your bill too. It's not just about backup, it's about both.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because within the Anker user app that you can control and program this with, you can actually run it in time of use mode. So if you ever are in an area that has a variable rate plan, it's cheap at one part of the day, expensive at another part of the day, you can program these things to charge either from the grid or from solar at those times, then power the house when it's cheap. If you live in an area that you can only offset so much of your bill with solar, this is a good way to get around it. Charge the batteries with solar for free during the day and then power the home for free at night with batteries. So these things are great. They're not just for backup, even though me personally, that's what I usually use it for. They're pretty flexible. And like I said, if you have solar, this is a great way to get the most out of it.
Great. And so what percentage of Anker's business would be the big batteries versus the little phone charger types of batteries and that kind of stuff?
If I had to guess, I would still say the vast majority is coming from the smaller phone chargers, just because that's where our foundation is. But as the days go by, I'd like to think that we're taking a little bit more of that pie for ourselves in the big home energy storage department.
All right. Well, thank you so much, David Taylor from Anker Solix, for telling us all about all of your really cool batteries and things like that. And thanks for keeping my phones charged too in days past.
Of course. Always happy to help and always glad to jump on these things and chat about batteries for a little bit.
All right. Well, thank you so much, David Taylor of Anker Solix. And thanks for listening to Shawn White's Solar and Energy Storage Podcast. To find out more, go to SolarSEAN.com, take some solar classes, and get yourself certified. You can get yourself certified like NABCEP certified or certified crazy like me. Just kidding.